YouTube decided I'm no longer allowed to use the music in my intro, so now, until I find another one, you're stuck with my voice.
What is up guys, this is Lintheo, coming at you with a discussion video about something that's a little bit controversial, and it always kind of ruffles up a little bit of feathers and everyone has a different opinion on it. It's basically, is Yu-Gi-Oh! Dying? Now, we've all gone through formats where we dislike the format and we fall in and out of love with the game. And it's always been kind of a thing for me that I've always occasionally fallen in and out of love with the game. It's just because of the format, the decks that are kind of created and brought out, and just the power creep that keeps going up. The most recent one that I kind of took a little bit of a break from competitive play was the big dragon format. How that format was just ridiculous with the three babies and the three big dragons and the Dragosack and the big eyes and everything like that. That was the last time that I took a break from the game, but I didn't go away from it. I just kind of played for fun with friends, played at locals with different fun decks, because at that time I was in Bristol and there were only a few people who were running the big decks. We normally just kind of had our own little bit of fun. It was a good locals in that sense. But it's one thing to say that, you know, you dislike the format, but another thing to say that is the actual game dying in itself. Now, a bit of history. The game's been going on for like 11, 12 years now, and admittedly not as long as Magic, but you can argue that it's just as strong. It's not as big as Magic, I don't think. Magic is very big, although Yu-Gi-Oh! Is very kind of commercialized in certain areas, and it's quite big, especially in, you know, the OCGs, for adverts everywhere, and it's kind of very, very publicized over there, whereas over here it's not. It's kind of kept within the community. As such, there are adverts, but not kind of big enough to catch the actual big media kind of on TV and such. But it's always one that I thought was interesting when people got so angry at the format that they quit. And there's always those formats where a lot of people will just say they've gotten bored of it, they hate how the game plays, and they hate the decks that are around and how you have to spend a good chunk of money to even be kind of a little bit competitive, because we can all get lucky with rogue decks, but at the end of the day they're just that, rogue. And their attitudes are that they're just going to quit and leave the game, and that's that. But it's funny that people always kind of come back to the game, because you can't really leave it as such. I think we've all gone through a point where we've said, oh, we're going to leave the game, we're going to quit, leave for a little bit, a new format comes up or a new set comes out or a new archetype's released that's interesting, and you're just like, actually I do miss it, and you do play again. So it's kind of, you're only on a break, really. I've never said that I'm quitting the game. I've always said that I'm just going to take a break if I do, because I feel that that's a healthy thing to do. I've played the game since day one, basically. It's just a simple thing, a hobby. You're always going to fall in and out of love with a hobby. But is the game dying? The latest controversy is pendulum summoning, and how Konami have just kind of accepted the fact that this is going to be really broken. Now, I do know that people are saying it's difficult to pull off, it's not as broken, but from straight off the bat, we've got a pendulum monster that searches other pendulum monsters, and then it just goes to your extra deck because that's the mechanic. So you can just reuse it, and I feel that they've already started off with this being incredibly unbalanced. It arguably does bring a lot of decks back from the dead. A lot of decks can have kind of a big contention with this pendulum summoning aspect, because where in instances they struggle to get their monsters on the field quick enough, now you can just kind of vomit your hand onto the field. And it's kind of caused a little bit of outrage to the point where it's like, well, what's the point? Like, the person who sets up the pendulum summoning first wins, basically. There's always been mechanics that kind of unbalance the game as such, but I don't think there's been one mechanic like this. This completely changes and revolutionizes the way people are going to play. And I think it's kind of pissing people off a little bit, the fact that Konami have just accepted that this is going to be ridiculous. A good example is Catapult Turtle, how they errated it because they knew that with Catapult Turtle, pendulum summoning is going to be completely ridiculous and will just enable an OTK up the arse. It's definitely one to consider. I do wonder if people think the game is actually dying. The game will only die, I think, when Konami will say it will die, because it's always going to have a following. People are always going to buy the products, and there's always going to be a secondary market for people. Like, I feel that people will always find a way around or a way to cope with a new mechanic or a new deck that comes out in their own way. They'll either take a break and, play their fun decks that they want, or they'll just sit back for a bit, or they'll just keep on playing and find ways around it, or embrace the actual mechanic or decks. So I want to know what you guys think. Do you think Yu-Gi-Oh! Is dying? And do you think it will ever die? Another thing is, do you think Konami are helping themselves with the fact that they're bringing out this massive power creep and it's just not going down? They did, I think, really well the past ban list or so to kind of reel in the brokenness of the format and the cards and the decks to kind of balance it, and I think that they've done well and the right step with the different ban lists, how they've increased the amount of ban lists that are going to happen per year. And if the TCG does get if you go first you can only have 5 cards in your hand, then I think they're actually doing something positive for the game. But it just makes me kind of scratch my head and think, why, when they bring out something that's broken as Pendulum Summoning, it's like 2 steps forward and 1 steps back. It really feels like that. It feels they're finally doing something to stop this, and then they'll just do something that's just off the wall. So I want to know what you guys think. Let me know down in the comment section below. Do you actually think Yu-Gi-Oh! Will die, or do you just think it's just one of those things, people will embrace it and move on? So thank you very much for watching. Let me know down in the comment section below. Like, comment, subscribe, and I shall catch you guys later.